Hello everyone, it's me, Nikki, and today I'm here with something a little different, kind of. It's what I've read in the month of May. Are we in May? Oh god, what month is it? Yeah, May. In the month of May so far, because I have a very big TBR, I thought I'd do half of it now and then do the other half at the end of the month. So I have 7 books so far, so good for me. And I've probably got about like 7 or more to go, so but I can do it. So yeah, let's just start. I made notes on everything because I've had so many books to read. So the first book is On Basilisk Station by David Weber, and it is the first in the Honor Harrington series. I'm not sure how many books there are. I don't even know if the series has been finished, but I do plan on continuing it. I had trouble starting this book because, as it says on the back, something happens, and her and her crew, she's the captain of the Fearless, I believe, and they are essentially banished to Basilisk Station. There is a map. So that's essentially what the universe looks like. So there's Manticore in the middle, and then Basilisk is way out here. And it's basically guarding, like, this little, I don't know if it's a system or if it's just a planet, but it's Medusa, I believe. It's sort of like in Star Trek when they go to a new place, they have to say, like, try not to interfere with the planet's system or technological thing. So that's what they're doing there, Basilisk Station. And they also, from this map, I think, because that's some of the other empires, and it's sort of like a trade station out in the middle there, but it is in like the backwater, so nobody really wants to go there. And Honor and her crew are sent there as punishment, and it doesn't look good, and the crew is just like shitbags to her. And okay, here's what I got. Honor herself is a capable badass, especially at Basilisk Station, and that's rare because the guy who sent her there was a dickwad who didn't do anything, and Honor gets there and there's all these things they have to do, and she gets it done, and that station is run efficiently, and they find smuggling and she's pissing people off, but she gives about 0 fucks at this point. And she is from a planet, I don't think it's on here, I think it's Sphinx, and it's sort of like Vulcan, where like they're a little bit stronger. She's a lot stronger, and they have these right here, they're tree cats, and they bond with people, and he senses her emotions. And then also, because it's the future, they age differently. So she's supposed to be like, I don't know, pretty young, but, you know, she's like 87 or something. It's all explained in the book. And then anyway, the government is fucking politics, and the fleet on Basilisk Station is just fucked up mess. And then, you know, everyone, when they get there, is just not doing the best they can on her ship, and she essentially forces them to, And they do pick up and they become a better crew, and they all learn to appreciate her and like her. She has there's a word for it, but it's her second in command essentially. And he probably takes about half the book, maybe a little more, to really like warm up to her. And then, so yeah, once I got past the part where everything went bad, I really enjoyed it because Honor seriously enjoyed fucking with everyone. She was like, you've put me here, I'm going to do my job, and I don't really care if it pisses anyone off. And then, so she gets there, she does her job, and then there's a fucking conspiracy that they find, and it's really good. She figures it out in the end, and I'm not sure how she did, but she's smart, so. And basically she is, I think she's promoted, and at the end of it, and whatever, who does she work for? I think it's the Manticore system is hers. They basically give her as many honors as they can because they don't like the Republic of Haven. And that's who the bad guys were, surprise. It's not really a surprise because they figure that out also around like the halfway mark. And yeah, so it was a really good book once I got past that. And that's just me, as I don't like secondhand. It was almost like secondhand embarrassment, and I can't stand that. So I would read the sequel. My friends have told me to read the series, so that's what I'm going to do. Next, I have Prince Caspian, the second in the Chronicles of Narnia, and I basically have two notes for this. Susan is annoying as fuck, and sexism. So the 4 kids from the first book are pulled back into Narnia, and most of the book is like chapters 4, 5, 6, 7 basically is about Prince Caspian and that's how the kids got there. And Lucy, the youngest, is literally the only one who can see Aslan, and they do not believe her, the other 3. And Susan is like, oh my god, Lucy, you're so stupid. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? And of course, the sexism of the time, you know, women suck, men are great, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, and then, you know, they do the thing, and Caspian is in charge now. And it's been like thousands of years since they left, even though it was literally like 2 months ago or whatever for them. So that time thing is weird. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one, or I think it's just not Susan, Lucy and Peter who go back. And I think their cousin goes back too. I can never remember if he's a cousin or just a kid they know. So, the next book is The Riddle Master of Head, or Heed. I'm not sure how to say that. And this is about Morgan. I always want to say Morgan, but it is an O. He is the Prince of Head, which is basically, I don't know if there's a map, but it's like, they're just farmers. There is a map. There's Head. It's off to the middle of the island. It's an island off the middle of nowhere, and they're just farmers, and they just sort of do their own thing. And there's no magic, and there's no wizards, and all that's left is riddles. And Morgan, even though he is a simple farmer, or the son of a simple farmer, he has questions, and they send him to this college, and it's basically where you go and you study everything. And he basically graduated, but he went back home because his parents died, and there's also a bit of a magic thing where the heir, like they're tied to the land. So like his dad died and he immediately became the king. So you're like the land heir. And that is all tied up into the High One, who nobody knows who that is, and he's off in the mountains. He's all the way over here, the High One. And so Morgan didn't expect to be the king so soon, and he goes off on a little adventure where he basically out-riddles a ghost. The ghost is able to leave this place he was in, and Morgan gets this crown. And he was going to use it to help out his family, but then this man shows up. Death, D-E-T-H, the High One's harper. And all riddle masters are harpers, sort of. Morgan is, anyway. And he's like, oh, you found that crown, now you get to marry the king's daughter. Or not, there's not like a high king, but there's a king in another land who said, whoever gets the crown can marry my daughter. And Morgan goes, oh, okay. And then off they go, and as you can see in this picture, he's got 3 stars. Maybe you can't, but on the back there are 3 stars, and he has those on his head. I don't think they're as prominent as they are on the book. And he keeps waffling about his journey. He keeps wanting to go home. He finds out about the crown, and he's like, I gotta go do it. And then he finds there's a harp that has the 3 stars as well, and it's sort of related to his parents' death. So he's like, okay, we gotta go. And then stuff happens, and he's like, I want to go home. I don't care about destiny or any of it. And everybody's like, bro, you gotta do it. And he makes friends with everybody, and just, things are trying to kill him because of the stars on his head. And he learns some things, and then he has more questions. And I have more questions because I got to the end and I didn't quite understand the end. But I think there are 3 volumes, but I think it shouldn't be seen as a trilogy. It is 3 parts of one big story. So now I have to get the second book and the 3rd book to find out what that ending meant, because I don't understand. I also really enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting that Death was his name. He's not really ghost-like like they show in the book, but he is old as fuck, apparently, and he knows a lot of people and everything. But yeah, I did like it. I didn't understand the end, and so now I have to read the second one to find out what the hell's going on. The second one's apparently about the woman he was supposed to marry, who is apparently a badass herself. So that's gonna be fun and exciting. Okay. Next, we have The Ghost Bride. I liked this a lot more the second time I read it than I did the first time. I think the first time I read it, I didn't quite understand it, but now I've read more and exposed myself more, so I got it better. This is about Leland, who is, she's only like 18 or something. It's 1890s Malay, and Malacca, which Malacca I think is the capital city, and this wealthy family, the Lims, want her to marry their dead son, even though they didn't really know each other. Like, Leland's family is kind of poor now, and the Lims are super, super rich. And then, oh god, I keep fiddling with my shirt. Stuff happens, and Leland ends up in the ghost world, essentially. And the guy they want her to marry is like haunting her dreams. And there's all this stuff happening that Leland is trying to figure out. Like, the past, the dead have an effect on her present. And the world building is amazing. I think it's the third part. I'm not sure. But she goes to the lands of the dead. Oh god, what was it called? The Plains of the Dead, I think. And it's just, yeah, Plains of the Dead. And it's just amazing. And I love that. And her main sort of guide there, not a guide, it's Erlang, which he's from the Monkey King, and something else that I can't remember off the top of my head. And he's basically a badass. And I thought it was funny that you don't know his name at first, and then he tells it to her, and she's like, I don't know who that is. But then she mentions the Monkey King story later and calls him Pigsy, and I'm like, so you know who Erlang is. It's really funny. And he's a badass in this too, and, you know, it's just a really interesting look into that part of the world at that time, and I really, really enjoyed it. Okay. I don't want my pile to topple. I'm also doing this so I can put these books on shelves so they're just not everywhere. Next we have One Piece, volume 88 through 90. I don't have any notes for this because I'm pretty sure I've talked about how much I loved it before. Of course, Luffy wins his fight, against Big Mom's son. The nicest thing, or the sweetest thing in here is Luffy is fighting, and he tells his friends, you know, to do all this stuff, and he's in pain, and he basically grits through it and smiles and says, I'm okay, so his friends won't be worried about him. He's so damn sweet, and he's so damn brave. And then, to my ultimate sadness, this is the last omnibus for some time. I was going to pre-order the next one, but it's not out. And it ends with them going into Wano country, and some other big stuff is happening, and I'm like, oh god, now I have to wait forever. So yeah, of course, I love it. Love, love, love. I can't wait. I have to wait so long for the next one. Oof. Okay. Oh, this one. Okay, next we have Murder in the Palace of Anubis, which is a historical mystery set during the reign of King Tut. Oh, I have 8 books. I miscounted. And it was very good. I basically read it in a day, and it is about Lord Marin, who is the eyes and ears of the pharaoh. And then there's a murder in the Palace of Anubis, which is a big no-no. And so it's up to Marin and his adopted son, who's he is adopted because that's brought up in the book, but it's essentially his real son. And it's a very quick read. It's a very good read. It's interesting to me as somebody who's interested in this. It was written in 1994, so I'm going to assume that nobody knew a lot about King Tut then, because in the book, Akhenaten is referred to as his uncle, when I believe it was just his father, because it could have been his uncle father. Nobody's sure who King Tut's mom was. And King Tut is riding around and walking, and I'm like, no, he basically had like a bad spine and a club foot, so this boy was not doing any sort of acrobatic things. And then his wife is mentioned in here, and it's his niece, but it's really his sister. but also probably his niece, depending on who her mother was. So I don't know if any of those things get retconned in later books, or they just continue with it. But I thought it was a good mystery. It was almost like a noir, because there were so many suspects, and like the reason for the murder wasn't exactly what you thought it was, and it was just very good, and I cannot wait to try the next books. I mean, it's not that big, and it was just a very quick, easy read. Those historical quote-unquote inaccuracies didn't bother me because it was such a good book. I just thought it was funny that she mentioned King Tut, like, running around and being all agile, and I'm like, no, he probably didn't. I think they think he had, I don't know if they think he had scoliosis, but he definitely had like a club foot because he was inbred as fuck. I mean, probably not as bad as the Habsburgs, but still pretty bad. So yeah. Next we have Sorcerer to the Crown. And this is about a Zacharias Wythe who is African. He was a slave, and he has become the main sorcerer in England in the time of Napoleon, or around the French Revolution. And so there's period typical racism, and period typical sexism, because our other lead is a woman, Prunella, and she is just gifted with magic. Like, it's brimming out of her, but society believes that women shouldn't do magic because it'll hurt them, which isn't true. So yeah, it's just about Zacharias and Prunella, who is mixed race. Her father was white, and nobody's sure about her mother. Although I know, because it's in the book. And she finds Prunella finds these eggs, and they are familiars, which Zacharias also has, and there's 3 of them that she has, so Zacharias knows that she's good at magic. And there's also politics involved, because, politics. There's some badass witches from somewhere. I don't remember right now, but they're basically like vampiresses, and the main one in here is a fucking badass, and the fairy king is in here, the fairy queen, and some parts are just hilarious, and I had a little trouble with it around maybe a third of it, because they were just being so racist, and I wanted to like murder them through the book. And there's this horrible part, and it happens like in the first or second chapter. Zacharias's adopted father, Stephen, I almost want to say Stephen Strange, but it's Stephen Wythe, was the main sorcerer, but then he died, and Zacharias became sorcerer, and nobody knows what happened. Zacharias went in, and Stephen was alive, and Stephen's familiar was there, and then only Zacharias came out. So they're at this party, and this fucking bitch basically tells Zacharias' mom that everyone thinks he killed his dad. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Why would you say that? She's raised this little boy. She sees him as her son. What the hell is your problem? So that all gets resolved. Everybody finds out the truth. He has some fantastic friends in this. They are hilarious, and it's just great. yeah, I want to get the sequel. I'm going to try to buy it soon. I want it so bad because this was such a good ending. I want to know more. I love the world of that, by the way. And England is running out of magic, so of course they blame the black man, and I'm like, it's not his fault, honest. And then the final book we have is World of Warcraft, Tides of War, written in 2012 before Mists of Pandaria, which I cannot believe was that long ago. And basically what I got from this was that Jaina loses her goddamn mind, and Garrosh is a piece of shit. He's too overconfident, and he's too racist, and I hate him. There's like, and I don't know if they're doing it on purpose, because there was like one moment in the game, after Cataclysm, when you play as a horde, it's the only thing you see where he like tells a guy off for bombing innocent civilians, and then Garrosh does that in this book. So basically Jaina Proudmoore has a little city, Theramore, on the horde side of the world, and Garrosh doesn't want it there, and he essentially blows it out of existence, killing everybody who was there, which is terribly sad. I did cry at a couple parts. And Jaina used to have blonde hair, and because of this, it's a mana bomb that does it, or a bunch of mana bombs, and it turns her hair white with just a flash of her blondness, and she wants revenge. So, but most of the book is taken up with everything preceding that. So if you've played the game and then you read this, you're just waiting for it to happen, and then it happens and you're like, fuck. And then at the end, it's sort of resolved, but I think in the game, there's a collection of neutral mages in Dalaran, and Jaina becomes the leader of them, and she seems okay, but then I think in-game she wants every horde out of Dalaran, and like, even the mages, and then she like storms off when that doesn't work in her favor. So whatever ending satisfactorily she came to in this is suddenly then rechanged in the game, because even after they catch Garrosh and Mists of Pandaria, she's still like fucking pissy about it, up until like maybe this newest one where she becomes the admiral. But yeah, I like the book. It was a quick read. I mean, it's not super big, but it was a quick read. None of the chapters are long, and it'll be interesting to read the next book. Don't fall. And those are all the books I've read so far. Yeah, the next one will probably be even longer than this one. I'm trying to read all the books. I want to read them all. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you have a lovely day. Goodbye.